So let's talk about transfers, and today I want to talk about a transfer that's been looming around for a little while, but a little bit of development over the past few hours in regards to him. Julian Brandt has been talked and linked to Arsenal over the past several days. There have been talks about a transfer, but I want to talk about a possibility of a loan, which has recently came in earlier on this morning from the Independent here in the UK, which is a reputable newspaper, and you know that they're not always going to be talking about just fluff. So for me, I thought it'd be an interesting one to talk about because Julian Brandt is a quality player. Obviously, we know him from his time at Bayer Leverkusen, playing with the likes of Kai Havertz, playing really well, getting his loan at Dortmund. And you know what? Last season he had a pretty good loan a pretty good time at Dortmund in his 2019-2020 season. With everything that's going on, he played 42 games, scored 7 goals and 13 assists. Could tell he's mainly a creative type player. The part that I like about him is that he's so versatile. He can play in central midfield, wide left wing, right wing, attacking midfield, and Dortmund have even played him as a centre forward or like as a second striker, not like a pure striker, but playing in almost like in a false nine. And with that type of versatility, when you look at all the different holes that Arsenal have, Julian Brandt, even bringing him on a transfer, like a permanent transfer, could be a good option, but for a loan makes a lot more sense. And his versatility and those numbers speak to that. Now, here's the problem with Julian Brandt, is what I'm seeing, is that when you look at what he did last season and what he's done this season, I mean, the two are night and day. I know he's had a bit of injuries as well during his time at Dortmund, but when you look at what he has produced this season, 1 goal, 1 assist in, I think it's 22 games. 22 games, like, that is not good enough, like, for any side, to be really honest. And when you look at a player like Brandt, you have to wonder what's happened. Like, he's completely fallen off. And could you imagine Arsenal signing him on a permanent fee and for him producing performances, and, well, not even performances, mainly results like what we've seen in this season? It's not going to be good enough. But I think a loan would be far better option for Brandt. The sources at the Independent are saying that Arsenal are said to be considering a loan offer for Brandt, and that Dortmund do not want to sell and they would be open for a loan offer. And I think that this is probably the best way going forward for someone like a Brandt coming to Arsenal. You want to bring in quality players, but you want to bring in players that are going to have an impact. In recent years, the loans for Arsenal haven't been that great. When you look at the likes of Denis Suarez, that not going too well. I know it really wasn't Arsenal's fault. This is a guy that just got injuries, and you know, when you're talking about half a season, like, it just never really paid off for Arsenal. So that didn't work out. And then you have someone like a Ceballos who, for the most part, hasn't lived up to it. You know, he's had moments where he had one good game at the beginning of his loan last season, and then he did nothing throughout the majority of the season. And then for the last 10 games of the season, he just turns up and it's like, bang, you know, just shone completely. And showed that, you know, maybe he is worth another try on loan. And now he's come on season for this loan, and this season I would say overall he's been okay, but definitely not worth spending money to bring him in on a permanent transfer as well for Ceballos. So for me, Brandt for a loan makes sense. I know a lot of you are probably thinking we want more, but like, you have to look at it like this. He's a player who we're probably only going to need to spend wages on him. His wages aren't going to be that much. Dortmund do not spend big on wages, so we could potentially play half, if not all of the wages, and not really feel it. And that's what you want. Financially, it makes a whole lot of sense to bring in someone like Brandt here to be a supplement for an Emil Smith-Rowe, to potentially be a backup for a lot of players in other positions, and then we could really get a better look on how he would do for Arsenal. But want to hear your thoughts on that. What do you think about Julian Brandt? Leave your comments below on Julian Brandt, and it'd be interesting to hear you guys' thoughts. And then finally, I want to talk about Folarin Balogun. Now, I think there's a big question on Folarin Balogun. Will he stay or will he go? Now, I did a video about a week ago talking about Balogun, saying that he was definitely going to be leaving with all the rumours that are going on. More rumours about him potentially going to Liverpool. But more recent stories have come out. Fabrizio Romano on Twitter earlier on, a few hours ago, spoke with his agent, saying that Balogun wants to stay at Arsenal, which for me I was surprised in. But Balogun does want to stay at Arsenal. He doesn't mind staying at Arsenal. But the one thing that Balogun wants is game time, which completely understandable. When you are a top young player and you see all these other young players around you getting a lot more games, Smith-Rowe's getting a lot more games, Saka is getting a lot of games. When you look at the likes of Jadon Sancho, who for me showed that if you're a young English player, you can leave England and go and play games in other countries and shine. And I think that's the reason why he is, you know, very open towards getting as much games under his belt as possible. He's a young player, so you know there's lots of time in his development, and I think that he's seeing that if those other young players could do it, so can I. And I commend him, and I completely understand where he's coming from in that. The problem is, if you're looking at if he's going to stay or if he's going to go, is you got to look at Lacazette. We have Lacazette here. The talks are that Lacazette and Arsenal contract talks are going to be put on hold until the end of the season. My guess is that that's probably because of the Balogun situation, because if you're going to be promising Balogun games to play regularly, what is that going to mean for Lacazette? How is the contract negotiations going to go in around that? What does that look like for Lacazette? Money-wise as well, you got to talk about that. How is that in relation to not just Lacazette and Balogun, but the likes of Aubameyang? What does this mean for Eddie Nketiah? His contract also runs out in another season and a half. His contract runs out the same time as Lacazette's. So you gotta ask, you know, in relation to Balogun, what is this going to mean for Lacazette? What is it going to mean for Eddie Nketiah? And long term going forward, what is this going to mean for Tyrese John-Jules as well, who was also breaking out around the same time as him? I know he's gone out on loan and who's had an okay-ish loan so far, but how are you going to be able to incorporate all of these players as well? And then you got to think about other players looking to come through the ranks there as well at Arsenal, the likes of Muller. So lots of things to factor in, and I think there are lots of different things tying in this Balogun stuff. I think Arsenal are trying their best not to put themselves in a difficult position, but I think they're going to have a choice to make very soon. Do they give up on the likes of an Nketiah? Do they give up on the likes of a Lacazette, who right now is playing, he's undroppable. He's been brilliant at Arsenal right now, and I'm not a big fan of Lacazette, but I have to stand up and say Lacazette has been an absolute baller, a breath of fresh air in regards to the starting 11s going on right now. Long term, there are many different facets that we have to ask ourselves that's related to the Balogun transfer saga. Now, and then the other thing is Balogun good enough for the Premier League and playing regularly? One of the things that I've been seeing is everybody's been saying that he's better than Eddie Nketiah, even though that he's hardly played in the Premier League. No, I don't think he's played in the Premier League to even begin with. He's had some good games in the Europa League. Scored on his debut, scored again in the second game. So I do think he's a talented player. Again, I'm being completely objective. I don't know how he's gonna do, but he does deserve the chance to prove and to show everybody how he can do in the Arsenal colours, whether it's the Premier League or the Europa League. He definitely deserves a chance to be able to do that. Is it going to be enough to satisfy Balogun? No idea. I have no idea. But let's try. Let's see how it is and take it from there. But guys, leave your comments below on what you think about the Balogun situation. Do you think that he's better than Eddie Nketiah? Do you think he's better than Lacazette? Should we be starting him over Lacazette? How much games would you give? So much questions. I'll be putting some questions out there, kind of getting the discussion going, but please do leave your comments below. Continue to like the video, and remember, please continue subscribing to the channel. It has helped the channel out massively, and thank you to all the subscribers recently. But until then, I will see you all next time in my next video, which should be somewhere in and around here or in the suggested tabs below, or check out the channel page. But until then, I will see you all soon. Peace.